Hello everyone, and welcome to another scrapbook process video where today I'm going to show you how I'm going to combine what essentially would be two single page layouts, totally different themes, into one cohesive double page spread. I'm scrapbooking some photos from last year's trip to Vancouver, and these photos here, I didn't have enough really to do a double page spread. These photos on this side, this one is the creative design team all out for dinner in Victoria on Vancouver Island. And these photos here are ones that are our trip back on the ferry just as the sun was setting. It's actually pretty much set here, but sometimes that's when the most gorgeous colour is, when you wait until the sun has sunk down below the horizon and you get this gorgeous glow. And there is a little bit of a funny story behind these photos, but I could have put these on a double page spread, and that's where I was heading to start with. I had made some of these photos a bit larger and had included more, but I narrowed it down to just these 5 photos here, and I think that will tell the story enough, because the photos preceding this, I wouldn't be putting these on a double page spread. So I want to go through today with you how I'm going to make this all work together and be a little bit cohesive. And I should mention that today's video is part of the creative design team's monthly YouTube collab. I will have a link to that in the description below, so make sure you check out the videos that have gone ahead of me, and there will be more to come after this video airs. But what we are doing today is scrapbooking our photos with our brand new creative design team 12x12 volume 4 sketchbook. You can see I've got mine in an A4 album here. I was getting them spiral bound, and you can see I've still got those ones here with the spiral bound holes in them. But what I've decided to do is put them all into an A4 binder. Now this one here is an old, close to my heart A4 binder, and a lot of you may know I actually love scrapbooking in A4 size, but I do have quite a few of these pink ones, and I thought that it would work really well to house our sketchbooks because pink is part of our logo colors. So I really like the coordination of this. So you can see this is the front cover here. You've got a couple of sneak peeks here of what it's contained inside. There are 42 sketches, so all 7 of us have designed sketches, and you can use them as double page spreads, you can use them as single page spreads, you can rotate them and use them in a different orientation, and you can also manipulate them a little bit to suit your photos, which is what I'm going to be doing today. So one of the reasons why I like putting these into my binder here is that I can have them all in one book rather than pulling out the books off my shelf and trying to work out which ones are which. I think I've got enough room here for whenever we get around to doing volume 5. And I also have another binder that has our 6x8 and our 8.5x11 sketchbooks in. I decided to keep the 12x12s in one and put the other sizes in another. So this is the sketch that I have pulled out from our volume 4 book, and I should mention you can get these on our website cdtcreatives.com, so links for that will be below as well. So now back to the sketch and my photos. I'll just put this aside. What I originally started with was 6 photos, and I had them spread out in a design to go across a double page spread, but that was when I looked at my album planning and decided that I needed to have the ferry ride back to Vancouver on one side to end that little chapter of our Vancouver Island day trip, and the dinner on another. So this side's going to change just a little bit. I am going to bring in a flip flap so that I can put my journaling on this, and I'm thinking that I'm going to have my photos like this orientated across the page. So where these tags are, that's going to be a photo spot, and for the left page I'm pretty much keeping to the design and doing this with my photos. This one I've trimmed down a bit more. There was a lot of dead space at the bottom of this with the table. I've trimmed that down to make it more of a panoramic feel, even though it started off as a 6x4 photo, because I actually love the background with this, with the fireplace and the bar in the background. And I think I'm going to have to reprint this because there are all these bottles across the top here, but I want to get on and work with the layout here. So now I've got to choose some paper. I'm going to start with white willow as my base, and I'm going to take this photo away for the moment because That's the one that I'm going to be putting in my flip flap. And I've got my sketch off to the side here so that I can refer to it. This is a photo that Andrea has shared. This was when we were doing our little reels of guess where we were. So she did a screenshot of this one, and I love this group photo of all of us on the steps outside the Greek restaurant. So the layout itself here looks pretty cohesive with the photos going across. With the grouping of it like this, it sort of flows quite naturally. But then I'm going to bring in pattern papers that will go with both of these sets of photos, which you might think might not work. So when I was thinking of this, I was thinking of Greek restaurant and all the blue in here. And I know blue is one of the favorite colors when it comes to Greek restaurants and traveling in Greece and all that sort of thing. So I thought that this from the Take to the Sky Designer Series paper, this is on last chance because it was in last year's annual catalogue that ran through until the end of April this year. And I absolutely love this paper, and I haven't used this one before. So I'm thinking that is going to be my piece that runs across the background sort of area and houses most of these photos. So I'm just going to dump my photos on top of this and see how it looks. It works really well with these water photos on the ferry, and I'm thinking it works quite well here. There are blue napkins on the table. Julie has a denim jacket on. Blue and pink always go well together. Believe it or not, my jumper is a dark blue, even though it looks a bit black here. And I'm thinking this is going to work because there are touches of blue with the outside of the Greek restaurant as well. So this is how I'm just going to place this here and then bring in some other colors to try and highlight the photos. Now, when it came to mats for this, I just have white borders on my photos. I printed home, so I was able to shrink this one down. So they all have white borders from the photo printing. I'm not thinking I'll need to do double matting, but I'm not sure. So this has got some pieces here on each side for the top section. Maybe Misty Moonlight would work. I'm just going to play around with this, but I also think black will work really well because that is going to really highlight my photos here. I love the black, but I think the Misty Moonlight is a little bit too pale. So let's bring in some Night of Navy. And I'm thinking this is going to work really well with my pages. Now I'm going to take that out and I'm going to put this over on this side to see if it works. I'm not going to cut anything yet until I've made sure. And I think that works on this side as well. But I'm going to bring in this sketch here, calls from some little banner strips. So I might bring in some specialty paper for this. So I've got this Flower Garden Foils pack, and it does have florals on here, and it also has a geometric design. I've got some off-cut pieces. I'm thinking the silver is going to work really well on this side, but not so much on that side. And I think I want to bring out the pink in Andrea's top here. So maybe I'll just bring out this piece of foil. I know it's too big for the page, but I think that's going to work really well as a strip. So I've made my decisions on the cardstock pieces I'm going to bring in to help highlight my photos and my pattern paper. So all that's left for me to do now is to use the cutting guide here to cut all of the pieces. The cutting guides have all the measurements, so it'll be quick and easy to do. And I think having this same pattern paper across both subjects works quite well. A lot of it's going to be hidden with the photos, but there's enough of it to bring some interest into the page. And then I've got the larger areas here with the cardstock, but I'm going to soften those solid pieces of black and also the Night of Navy up the top here with some tags, and I'm going to bring in some stamping for this as well. So I'm going to go off and cut these pieces. I'm pretty sure I'm going to ink the edges of this as well, and I need to round the corners. I'm going to follow this design pretty much as is, but look at how gorgeous the florals are. I'm hoping that is picking up on camera. And then this gorgeous geometric design too. So I think these spots of specialty paper are really going to bring this layout to life. So I've got the base pieces all laid out here. I'm just going to spread my photos out a little bit and bring in these gorgeous pressed foil elements. And I think this pink is going to work really well on this side with Andrea's top. And then this one's going to go on that side there. I'll probably butt it up against the edge of the black. And I'm just going to lay these out, and you can see I started to do something and then I had a little bit of a malfunction with my pen, so I've just had to put the nib back in. I was going to do that on camera with you, but I've had to just put the pen nib back in. It just slotted back in. I was shaking it and it just flew out. So hopefully this will work, because I think I need a little bit of detail around the edges of these pieces of cardstock, or the solid colours of cardstock, just to liven them up a little bit. So basically, I'm hoping my head is not going to get in the way. I'm just going to go along the edges. You can see it's not necessarily a nice straight line. I don't try and make them perfect. If I try and make them perfect, they never are. So I'm just going along the sides and the edges that will be visible after I've put my photos and these pressed foil elements on. And I'm going to do the same for this side here, and then I'll adhere this, and then it's going to be time to bring in some tags that I've created, and I'll probably do the same lines around this piece here. Now, this is Night of Navy, but when I turn it over, I get the two-tone cardstock, and I love this color option. It fits really well with the pattern paper here, and it just lightens up this top section here. So they're going to slide under my photos, and then I'm going to do that for this side as well. Now, this was a die cut from Close to My Heart days, and I can't put my hands on the die, but I have some tags in a little container. So I got that out, and then I just traced around it to create the shape for these ones here. I quite like these. And then to punch the little holes, I've brought in this super cute little hole punch, and I've just got them in a little box here, and I was going to try and remember the name of them. The hole punch assortment. So you get a nice little tab one with a circle bit at the top there, cute little circle one, and then this one here that does the rounded sort of slit into it, and I really like that shape. So if you don't have a tag punch, if you don't have a tag die, you can trace off an old tag, or you can create them yourself and use these little tag punches to create the little holes in them. So I'm going to come back when I've done these pieces on here and adhere a little bit down. I'm not going to adhere these down yet because I want to do some stamping on those. So I'll be back in a moment. I've gone around the outside of these two tags here, and I'm going to double layer these so that the white is on top, and you just see a peek of the Night of Navy that's been flipped over to the light side. So my tags are going to sort of act as title spots, and I'm going to do some stamping on these. I'm just going to bring in some white copy paper, and I need to stamp off with what I'm doing. So the first one I'm going to use is Scenic Adventure. And I bought this because I saw Erin using it on, I think, some recent layouts. I don't know if it was an Alaskan one, but I really love the dies that came with it. So I bought it mainly for the dies. But then when I was looking at this online, I was looking at these sentiments here, which have previously been designed for cards. But I really think that these can be used on scrapbook layouts. So Let the Journey Begin would be really great for the start of an album, or if you're going on a hike within your holiday, or something exciting that you're going to do, you could do Let the Adventure Begin. I'm going to use Just Breathe and Take It Slow, and I'm going to use this watertight stamp here. So this Just Breathe and Take It Slow is going to go on the right side, and on the left side where I've got the photos of us all together, I'm going to put Better Together. So I'm just going to turn this one around so I know that I need to put my title the correct way around. Now across the bottom, I'm going to do a little bit of that water stamp. I'm going to do the water for the right tag here. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it for the left. And I think Night of Navy might be a little bit too dark, so I might stamp off. And I really like the color of that. I think this suits the photos so well. So I'm going to stamp off, go along the bottom, and I've gone off the edge of the tag there, even though it's going to be tucked somewhat underneath my photo. And then I just need to line this up and stamp again. And then I've got Just Breathe and Take It Slow. Now, I'm not sure if I want to do this in first generation or if I want to do it in second generation. I think I'm going to do it in first. Actually, I'm not stamping with Night of Navy. I'm stamping with Misty Moonlight. So I'm just going to try it. Misty Moonlight's quite dark here. I'm just going to try stamping this on my scratch piece with Night of Navy. I just want to see how this is going to look in comparison. So I'm going to put my water back down again and stamp this in first generation. And I think I like the depth of the Night of Navy for this. So this is going to go just up towards the edge here because I am going to tuck these tags somewhat underneath the photo. And I do need to allow time for that to dry, so I'm just making sure I don't put my fingers over the top of that. I think that looks rather good. So I'm just going to take this tag and put it over this side. So this is where it's going to have a little point of difference. I'm going to bring in a floral stamp for the edge of this tag here rather than using this wave. And in the Celebrate Together, there's a cute little floral here. So I'm just going to use that as the bottom section of the tag. And I think I'm going to do the same treatment. So I'm going to do second generation Misty Moonlight on the tag. I'm just going to test that out. I like the color of that. So I need to remember to stamp off, and then on, and I'm going to cover up this section of the tag here, and then stamp off. And this nestles quite nicely in with the edge of that pattern. You can see that fits in just perfectly. So I've got that section done for the bottom of my tag. Now I'm going to bring in Night of Navy and stamp Love Every Moment, because that's what happened when we were away all together. Every moment was just wonderful and we just enjoyed it so much. So I think this is quite appropriate to have as my title for this side. So I'm just going to position my tags and make sure that I'm happy with this. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a funny story about what happened here with the ferry. So we all boarded the ferry and I looked at the light and it was just absolutely beautiful out here on deck. It was pretty cold. It was later in the evening and I sort of went up on deck to take some photos, and the girls didn't follow me, and I'm not quite sure which way they went. And we got a little bit separated, so I just thought, that's okay, I'll just find them later. So I'm happily taking my photos, and then I could hear them on the deck below me, and I could see them, and I'm yelling down to them to say, I'm up here, and they couldn't hear me at all. And they were searching for me. They even checked in all the bathrooms and everything because they weren't quite sure where I'd disappeared. But because it was a small ferry, we did catch up and find each other later. But I think they were a bit worried about where I had gone off to. But I really wanted to capture the light and the reflection in the water. So I really enjoyed being up there and just enjoying the calmness of this. You can see the water was quite flat, and it was really beautiful being up there. And then it got a bit dark and a little bit colder, so I had to go below deck and I found them, and then we just sat inside in the warmth on the short ferry ride back over to Vancouver. This was an absolutely perfect day out. We started at, I've done a layout about it, and I think I entitled it, This is what 4:15 a.m. looks like, because we started out really early in the morning to catch pretty much the first ferry over to the island so that we could have as much time as possible over there. It really is a beautiful place. I wish we could have spent more than just one day there. So I am just going to put some of this twine. It's the Natural Tones linen thread, and I've got the Night of Navy one here. So I'm just going to put these. You can see I've got ink all over my fingers from closing up the Night of Navy ink pad. I always get Night of Navy everywhere. So what I'm going to do is double this twine over. And if you haven't seen me do this before, I love using a crochet hook to help me feed everything through. So I can just catch that on the little hook and bring that through, and then the twine's all attached. So I'm going to do that for all of these tags, and then I'm going to think about what else I'm going to do for this page. I'm not sure if I'm going to do much more to this. When it comes to embellishments and things, I don't know what I'm going to add to this one. I was thinking about the sailboat to add it to this, but it's more a ferry, and I don't really have a ship to put a little embellishment on here. So I might leave this one free of embellishments for now and just concentrate on the photos and putting the layout in the album, because I can always add the embellishments later if a stamp set comes along or a product comes along that I think I might like to put on. But I'm actually looking at these just sitting up on my desk here. I haven't used these yet. This is a brand new product in the new annual catalogue. Let me get the whole lot out to show you. And these are metallic texture rub-ons. So there are gold ones. They're so pretty. And you get 2 sheets of each. So I think there are 4 sheets of gold, and I believe they're not like the rub-ons we used to use in the past. I've been told they're very easy to use. So I'm thinking I might introduce some of these splatters onto the page because I've got the silver lines going around here. I've got the silver foil, and I think they'll still work with the silver and this pink colour on this side. So I've got 2 lots of splatters here and some little ones. I'm hoping the shine is picking up on camera. This one's got a bit of a diamond to it. Oh, I love this. This is absolutely beautiful. Let me put the gold ones aside. These have a backing sheet to them, and you want to treat them with a little bit of care. So I'm thinking I'll put some of these splatters coming out of this side here. I don't know if I can put this over the top of 2 pieces of paper here. And because this has got straight sort of sides to it, if I was rubbing this onto this page here, I wouldn't put the whole piece of this. I would make it a little bit more organic with the way it is. And I'm going to cut away this piece. I'm actually going to cut all the way into this Carriere sheet and everything as well. It's not a sticker, and I do this quite a lot with stickers. I take them off the Carriere sheet, but I think these are going to add a really nice element to the layout. And then if any little stamp sets come along that I think I'm going to use later on for this, I can always add that in. I think I want to get to these little dots here. I'm going to need to get out a little plastic envelope, I think, so that I can store these rather than putting them in the cello bag each time. So I'm going to put a little splatter area down here, and I'm going to put this one coming over here, and I'll see how it goes rubbing across the 2 layers. And then sprinkle some more in this area and fill them up a little bit rather than trying to put them anywhere else. Now this one hasn't been stuck down as yet because I am going to put a flip flap on this page. So this photo is going to slide into here. And then I'm going to put a journaling spot underneath that. I'll just move that off to the side. So now what I can do with this is just take away, that just fell away from that. And then I'm going to put this on here like this. And I think you can do it just with your fingers. So I'm just rubbing this in with my fingers. If I need to, I could get one of these tools out and rub over top, but I think it's just going to work with my fingers. Oh, this is absolutely beautiful. I love how that looks on the page. So pretty much all of the foiled elements have come off. I've got another little one there. I'm just going to rub that on. Anything that I've missed, I can rub on. And I'm hoping you can see how good that looks. This is such an easy way of foiling. You don't even need to rub with this tool. You can just do it with your fingers. So these are going to go under here. That's just the perfect spot for it. So I'm going to keep doing that with these little pieces as well. I'm just going to extend that down. This is just such a fabulous product. So if you haven't played with something like this before, this is the easy way of doing foiling. I'm just having trouble getting the backing sheet away. I don't know if you ever tried this when you were younger, but it was a little bit harder to do rub-ons. We used to use icy-pole sticks and rub away forever to try and get the rub-on piece to come off. I'm going to put a little bit on that tag as well. And I think that is finishing this off absolutely beautifully. I love how that looks. So I just need to do exactly the same thing to this side. I might just stay on camera and do this with you so you can see this again. Look how gorgeous this is. And I love that it goes across from the cardstock piece onto the base layer. So it doesn't really matter if you've got things layered up a little bit. It still attaches quite well over the 2 different heights here. So I'm just rubbing this with my finger. And then I'm going to peel this off. Absolutely stunning. It's sort of like Christmas. I can see myself using this quite a lot on scrapbooking layouts, on cards. It just adds the actual perfect touch to everything. This is just adding the perfect little touch to these pages. I think it's exactly what this needed. So I had a little bit put on that tag there. So I'm going to do the same thing on this tag here. I'm really hoping that my lights are picking up how gorgeous the shine is on this. Now, I'm just going to position this so that I get this in the right spot. I'm going to have my tag here. So I'm just going to put this down in this area. You don't have to be absolutely precise when it comes to doing splatter dots. I'm going to lift this side up so you can have a look at it on the black, and hopefully the lights are picking up all that sparkle. I really love how the foil looks on this. It's just the perfect touch. I know I'm going to be addicted to using these now that I've finally opened that packet and put them on my layout. I've got everything all adhered down now, and I was considering bringing in another piece of this pink here because I have silver elements, but I've only got the one pink. But I think with Andrea's shirt, it does tie everything in. And I did think about putting a little bit more in certain areas, but I decided that one piece was enough because the pink is repeated across the page here. Now you can see I've added some more of the rub-ons, and I just used one piece of this. I've kept this. It's probably a chevron if you hold it this way, or you could put it this way as an arrow type piece or a chevron type piece. But when I looked at it in this fashion, to me it looked like hearts. So I have put half of it on this side and half over here. I just cut this apart with my scissors so that I had two pieces to extend it across both pages. So I'm just going to bring these back in again. They're metallic textures rub-ons, and the patterns are beautiful, and I can just see myself using these over and over again. And if you're doing Christmas in July sort of events, or having a Christmas in July party and you wanted to do some name tags or something like that, you could use these pieces here. It would just add a gorgeous touch to the table. And I love that we get two sheets of both, so we can spread it across a double page scrapbook layout. So these are going to be coming out more and more for me to play with, and they look equally good on the dark colour here with Night of Navy as well as on black, but they also look good across the white and lighter tones. So I love how that worked out. I was a bit worried about it when I started doing it because I thought my layout's pretty much done and I'm bringing in something brand new that I haven't tried out before, but I'm really pleased with the end results. So I'm just going to bring in the sketch again. You can see I've pretty much kept to the sketch on this side. This one is a little bit different just because I had a few more photos. I have attached my flip flap here. I'm going to do a little bit of journaling on this page, but I am thinking about this photo here and maybe adding another one on this side, and then I'll do my journaling. I'll type that up and put it onto the page with one of the clear shipping labels, and the journaling is going to cover both sides of the layout. So what do you think about combining two totally different themed typed photo subjects with a girls' night out for dinner and then a late night ferry ride and all the beautiful scenery? I still think this works as a double page spread because the formula goes across, and I've kept the same colours, even though this would be something that you might not put with a dinner out. It just works so well with the photos on this side, and the colours all work well together. Don't forget, this is part of the Creative Design Team collab this month. I'll have a playlist link below, and you can check out all the videos where we are using our brand new Volume 4 12x12 sketchbook. There are so many good designs in here. I sort of want to start at the first one and just work my way all the way through. It's going to help me out no end with getting pages together quickly and easily, especially when I'm still catching up on photos from my trip from last year with the girls. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, happy crafting, and bye for now.